And we're live. Hi guys. Hi. So,
I didn't the book. I feel so left out.
hello. Hi, my name is Trinh. You're on my channel, Transformers, and today we're here to talk about Frostbite by Richelle Mead. So, Sandy, Tiffany, and I were running a year-long read-along called the St. Vladimir's Readalong, and of course, each month of the year 2021, we're going to be reading a book from the series. So today we have a special guest, Jamie. Jamie's Library. You changed your name a lot, so I was like Leah Reed.
I do. I do.
So right now it's Jamie's Library.
Yeah, it'll probably be that for a while. That's the thing that feels the most right. So
yeah. Okay, hi. So right now we're just gonna do a quick basic introduction. So obviously say your name, your channel's name, if this is your first time reading a book or like your second time reading a book. But I think for everyone it's like a reread. So is it your second time reading this book, third time? And then your thoughts on this book, obviously, spoiler-free thoughts, because later we're going to jump into like the spoiler section. So hi, my name is Trinh. This is my second time reading this book. The first time was back in 2015, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 2015, so it's been 6 years. My thoughts on this book, I will say the first time I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, but this time I give it a 3 stars just because I was annoyed with Rose for a good chunk of this book. And I was kind of like sad about it because I remember like really enjoying this book the first time I read this. I will say like the ending obviously is still like, it still broke my heart basically. But yeah, I don't love this book very much, but I do hope that the other 4 books that we have in the series, I really hope that they're going to be amazing. So this is probably like my least favorite as of right now. So that's my thought on this book.
Cool. Is it me?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Jamie from Jamie's Library. And the Vampire Academy series is a reread for me. It's my second time reading it. And the first time I read it was, I think, probably like 2012 when I was in high school. And I remember it was the sort of like book series that I basically read entirely in one go. Like I read the first book to the last book, like probably in the space of a week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting reading them now because I definitely remember like moments, but I don't remember like the books as like self-contained books. So I'd like, it's interesting reading them as like individual books now with a more critical like adult eye. And I think with Frostbite, that was definitely one of the books that I remembered the contents of the most. Mm-hmm. So I really, really liked it. I rated it 4 out of 5, which is the same that I've rated Vampire Academy. But I do think that I would probably rate Vampire Academy a little bit higher. Like I still really liked it, but there were just things that weren't as like exciting. And I feel like for me, I loved the introduction of a certain character, but yeah, I agree with you about Rose. Like there was just a lot of like jealousy and like, oh, like this boy, but this boy, but this boy. And I'm like, girl, you're lucky to have one. Stop. But apart from that, like really, really liked it and can't wait to see like where the story goes again.
Yeah. Okay, Tiffany.
I'm Tiffany at Read by Tiffany. I read this back in, I think, middle school. And then I also reread this last year. So this is like a pretty recent reread for me. I definitely agree with what Jamie said. Like this Vampire Academy is like definitely like an edge better because just like the magic system that we explore, everything that happens is a lot more interesting. But I think because of like a certain character and the ending for this book, it like it gives it like that, like, that's why I gave it a 4. Realistically, if I'm using like my current rating system for how I rate like not real books, like other books that I've read recently, like this would probably be a 3 objectively. Yeah. But with the nostalgia factor, it definitely bumps it up to a 4 for me. So definitely really excited. I wish we can see more, or like we will be seeing more in the future, but definitely a fun reread.
Okay, Sandy.
And I'm Sandy from the channel Sandy Reads a Lot. This is actually my 3rd time reading Frostbite. The first time that I read it was back in 2013, so it's been like 8 years, and I don't remember when like I read it again the second time because Goodreads didn't have that like ability to, you know, to enter your rereads. I definitely agree with what everyone has said so far. Like in terms of like Rose's character, I was pretty annoyed with her throughout this book. But I do think this is kind of more of like a filler book where it sets up for what's going to happen in, you know, the next book, especially. But I really enjoyed the plot for this. I like seeing how, like, especially with that introduction, you know, and seeing how like the Shigrois and humans and stuff like that working together and seeing where that goes. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I also would give it like a 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay, so I'm the only one who gave it 3. Yeah, honestly, it was like I was so tempted to be lenient and be like, I could give like a 3.5, but because of the ending, like I don't know, it's just like it really like hit me. So I was like, you know what, the ending is, it's not good, but like it's just devastated. But like I don't know, but I was like, maybe I should give it a 3.5. But at the end, I was like, don't be lenient, just give it a 3. It's like fine. It's still like a decent reading. Rating is average. It's not amazing, but it's not definitely like horrible. So I believe that is it for like the spoiler-free section. So now we're gonna jump into the plot, the characters, what happened in this book, what happened in the beginning, the middle, the very end. So if you have not read this book, I don't recommend you watching this live show because we're gonna talk about everything that happened in this book. So of course, obviously this live show will be live on my channel like after it's over, so you can always rewatch it if you have like finished the book afterwards. So leave now if you have not read this book. We're gonna discuss everything. So let's talk about this book. I like this. Is it? I believe Tiffany says a certain character.
I think both me and Jamie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew. I can every time Adrian shows up, I'm like I can see Tiffany just smiling.
I love this man. Okay, I just wish we got more. I don't know why. I remembered him being a lot more prevalent in this book, but he's not. Like, I don't know why. Like, he was just there for a couple scenes to like make Dimitri jealous, and then the whole like even the spirit part where he's like, "Oh, I'm also a spirit user," was pretty minimal compared to everything that I thought.
Yeah, I fully thought he was like the main character of that book. Like when I was thinking about it, I was like, "Oh yeah, Frostbite, we get heaps of Adrian content. He's like basically there the entire time." But then I feel like he didn't even come until like the 50% mark, and I was like, "Finally, finally, my man." Yeah.
Jamie, have you read Bloodlines?
No, I haven't. So I'm so excited to.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it so much.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did ask Jamie, like, hey, come join us for like the last 6 months because like you've never read Bloodlines, so I would love to hear your opinions and thoughts on a book series that's like connected to Vampire Academy, but like it's something that's on its own and something that you have never read.
Oh man, I would love to. Yeah,
I'll bully you later. Like, join us. Hi Fallon. So yeah, 3.5. I think a lot of people said that the ending bumped up the ratings.
Yeah. So
that's also nice for ending bumped it up. I should have bumped up mine, but whatever. It's 3. It's fine. Yeah, that's how I feel. Cause like the thing is, I don't remember like anything in this book. So but I knew that Adrian was gonna show up in the second book. So I was, excited to meet his character again. But like, it's just the way he just shows up out of nowhere. It's like
creepy sometimes. Like I love Adrian, but I didn't realize how like creepy it was the way that like he was introduced and like incorporated throughout the story because he like you said, he shows up out of nowhere and like his first words are like, "Hello, little Dampier." And then like and then like the stuff with like sending Rose the perfume and like also the fact that he's like 21 years old, so like we talked about like the age stuff in the first live show. So I love Adrian, but yeah, some stuff of his appearances is a little bit creepy.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's funny how you mentioned the age because I literally had to like stop reading once we found out that Adrian is 21. I was like, what is up with these old ass men, not old but older men, like preying on Rose? She's 17. Like that's something you need to like we need to remember. I definitely remember that based on the way she acts in this book. She's 17. like, okay, Dimitri is 24. I'm like, I don't like this. So when I learned that Adrian is 21, I was like, oh my god, why is this happening? Like, what is going on? So I was really shocked when we found out his age, because I actually really like did not remember that he's 21 in this book. I assumed that he was like 18, like around her age. With that, I'm like, okay, that if he's 18, I'll be fine. But he's 21. So I was like, oh my god, of course this is happening. So yeah, I was really shocked by his age. I was wondering if you guys were shocked as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
You weren't?
I think it's one of those details that I just like gloss over and I'm like, oh, okay, he's like older, but then it doesn't really calculate in my mind how much older. And then I'm like, oh wait, that is a lot older. Same thing with Dimitri, which is what we mentioned last time.
Oh yeah, when they talk about age gaps, I'm just kind of like, oh, I choose to not see this. I don't want to acknowledge this. It was 2007.
Yeah.
But yeah. True.
Yeah, I think that kind of trope, like, people would love that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm weak for that trope. I love that trope.
Me too.
Someone say 4 years isn't bad. I think when I was reading this book, I was like, oh, 17, 21. But she is turning 18 soon. I believe it's been hinted that her birthday is coming up.
Yeah.
So 18 to 21. I don't know. As of right now, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I just like putting aside the age difference, just like the way that he appears throughout the book. Sometimes it's creepy. But I love him.
That one scene where they're in his when Rose goes to return, I read this yesterday, so I'm like, it's pretty fresh in my mind. Like when Rose goes to return the perfume bottles and then Lisa's in his room and then Dimitri shows up and then Adrian kind of goes off in like a weird like tangent where people are like, he's being so, I don't even remember what he said, but he was like something old age, like something very like creepy and mystical because of spirit.
Oh yeah. Oh, are you talking about like the part where he was saying some weird stuff and everyone in the room was like, what is going on? And then they all left, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is one part, oh my god, I don't think I can find it. But basically, Adrian put Dimitri in his place. It's a comment about the age gap and stuff. Because I believe Adrian kind of suspect that that Dimitri has a thing for Rose. And it's just like the way he say, like, I feel bad. I don't know the page number, but I'll find it and I'll tell you guys. But it's just okay, page 202. Adrian rolled his eye. I'm kind of surprised to find you lecturing about underage girls.
That feels like the scene where I didn't realize how much older Tasha was in this book. Because she's like 7 years or like a couple years older than Dimitri.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when I read this the first time, I thought they were like the same age. So it was like, okay. Like it wasn't a big deal, but then it was just something I noticed.
Yeah. It's on page 172. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed when I read this part. So basically, yeah, I definitely agree with you because I totally forgot that Tasha is a little bit older than Dimitri. So like I didn't realize it until like this scene where Rose and Dimitri, they're kind of like yelling at each other, and then Rose again, I was so annoyed with Rose. So every time she gets put in her place, I enjoy it a lot. So she says, well, I'm sure you guys you guys will be happy together. She's just your type too. I know how much you like women who are not your age. Your own age, sorry. I mean, she's what, 6 years older than you? 7? I'm 7 years younger than you. And Dimitri says, yes, you are. And every second this conversation goes on, you only prove how young you really are. I enjoy it so much. Cause like, I'm not gonna lie, once I read the part where Rose was just like calling him out, I'm just sitting here like, okay, but you don't make sense. No offense, but you don't make sense because like, yes, Tasha is like 6 years older than Dimitri. However, they're adults, 24 and like early 30s. They're both adults. They're aware of like their actions and all that stuff. You're still 17. Like, I'm not trying to bash on her due to her age and like just being like, oh, you're young, you don't know any better. But when it comes to like romantic relationship and age gaps and stuff, it's like, but you're young. and also like it's just like the way she goes on about it. I was like, you don't make sense. No offense, you really don't make sense. And then Demetria even calls her out, like, hey, stop. So yeah,
I think Rose was just like all over the place, but I think she was also very self-aware not knowing what she wanted, especially with Mason and then Adrian, and then just like I don't know, like she's so lucky to have Mason, but we'll talk about that.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that part. Yeah, she's still a minor. And then, okay, so I guess we can just talk about Rose. Because I did write down, I have a post-it note. I say Rose gets jealous easily, and then Rose as a character. I texted the group chat saying, my opinion for Rose has plummeted. It didn't just go down, it just straight up plummeted. I was like, it's just like every little thing that she does. I'm like, are you serious? But like, again, I'm just like, well, this is the second book. I believe that she will grow in the later books. So as of right now, I really don't hate her, but I will say I'm very, very annoyed with her actions. But at the end of the book, like, you know, I don't hate her. So
like for the majority of this book, it was a lot more high school in terms of drama, even though the last book was set in like their high school, especially because the last book, we got more of that friendship between Lissa and Rose. This one, like Lissa wasn't that, like she wasn't really there, which I was kind of sad by.
Yeah, me too. Because I really love Lissa. And then the fact that she's not even in here a lot, I was like, oh man, I'm stuck with Rose though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only bit of jealousy that I was okay with coming from Rose was when she was jealous of Christian and Lissa.
Yeah.
Because that was like Lissa content. And I was like, this is also very realistic. Like when your friend gets a boyfriend and then you never see them. Like this is something I can relate to. So I liked that aspect, but the rest of the jealousy felt too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like when the whole Tasha situation, and like there was like a scene that really stuck out to me. It's where Tasha suggests to Rose like, oh, they should go like hunting for Strigoi together, and then Rose is basically like, no, or something along the lines of that. I was like, oh my god, that's so like rude and like yeah, definitely like immature of her to say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too. Real quick regarding like her being jealous of Lissa and Christian, I totally get that, and I do like the fact that she's like, yeah, I'm happy for them, but like it still sucks that I haven't spent time with Lissa in a while, and then like I get it, like I do. And then also regarding that, I think there's also a scene. Yeah, like the scene where she was like making out with Mason, and then she was thinking about the Matrion, and then she breaks it off with Mason. But it's just, I guess, like the way she handles it was so poor, because like if it's like Mason and Rose just messing around just to have fun and just to forget their own problems, then like I'll be like, okay. However, it's the fact that Mason I think he's in love with Rose and she doesn't feel the same way at all. I think that like really like it sucks definitely, because like from Mason's side, he was like probably confused, being like, okay, we're having fun, you were all for it, what's going on? Like she just breaks it off. But obviously, since we read from Rose's point of view, we also understand why she's like, we have to stop now, because I feel like what we're doing right now is not okay, because like I'm having fun with Mason, but I'm also thinking about another man, like, and that is not like okay, and me being truthful. So it's very complicated.
Yeah.
I agree a little bit with Leah's comment, tea with Leah, like Rose isn't the perfect protagonist, because as much as we're like, God, Rose, you're so dumb, like why are you treating men like boys like this, or I don't know, like why are you playing with people's feelings? Like if I look back onto high school, like the way that I know some people like just didn't know what they wanted in life in terms of romantic relationships, it's like pretty realistic.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially because I guess it's like very confusing, because like the guy that she has a thing for is her mentor and like 24, like 7 years older than her. So it's like I believe she's aware that she cannot have him, but at the same time, like she cannot help but like fall for him still.
Yeah, I also think that like I do kind of have to sympathize for Rose a little bit when it comes to like playing with Mason's emotions, because I do genuinely think that like she's probably just feeling really, really insecure because the guy that she's in love with, she thinks is now hitting it off with someone else who's very beautiful, very strong, and older than her. And so I think that from Mason, she just really seeks their comfort and really enjoys that like he makes her feel loved, which is, you know, like probably not the smartest or kindest move if she doesn't have real feelings for him. But at the end of the day, it's like she obviously is just probably feeling shit and sees Mason's just a really kind, loving person to like be around. And I think the moment that she like stops it anyway is still like a brave moment to actually acknowledge that maybe your own actions aren't the best. So while she was like annoying, I still like kind of have that love for her as like at the end of the day just like a teenage girl who's going through like her first heartbreak.
I think we talked about this in the last live show, like how Mason is, I think someone compared Mason to Simon from TMI. And I know Sandy was like, yeah, that's so accurate. Are we ready to talk about Mason though?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh man, I knew it was coming. That's the thing. Like, it still makes me sad though. I think Sandy was the first one to finish the book out of the four of us. So she when she texted us like, "Stop! I'm not ready though. I'm not ready to get to the ending though."
Yeah, I was honestly surprised by how much it still hurts to read about it.
Yeah,
and like just reading, like seeing how Rose reacted afterwards, and like how she was basically protecting his body and not letting anyone get near him. And it was Dimitri that kind of like broke, you know, kind of like what she was going through and was able to kind of help her get out of that trance that she was in.
Yeah. I will. Yeah, you go, Tiffany.
I was also thinking of like, I think Jamie was one who said Mason just like really, really like loved her. That kind of like is talked about how like he loved her so much he went back to like go try to help her, but that's what caused him to like get killed basically, which really sucks. But I agree, like seeing that scene where like she was just like trying to protect his body, being so like hacking off the Strigoi heads, and then like talking to Mia because she's just so down, and then like Mia going to get her mom, those scenes really stood out to me.
Real quick, I'm asking everyone here in the live show, but then also in the people in the group chat, live chat. Did anyone cry at the end?
I have a heart of stone, so it takes a lot to make me well up, and I must admit I didn't cry, but I think that's because I already knew. And it wasn't like a shock to the system. There were moments that I found really beautiful and touching, but I don't cry easily when it comes to books. So I didn't.
Tiffany and Sandy.
I definitely teared up. I wasn't like bawling, but I was like, oh shit, this is sad.
Yeah, I also definitely teared up, but I was also in public, so it would have been really embarrassing if I like actually started sobbing. So I was able to like control those emotions a little bit.
Okay, so here's what happened to me. So like the thing is, I knew by the ending, I knew that like it's gonna be like really tough. Like Mason dies. So on page 301, this is the part where Mason literally gets killed by Isaiah, I believe. And I tend to do like an update every 100 pages. So at the end of the chapter, I put a post-it note. And one of the comments I said was, so far, I'm not emotional. Because like I knew that it was coming. So I was like, don't cry. And then when we got to page like 306, basically the part where 308 is when Rose says, I can't leave him alone. I have to protect him. You have said Dimitri. I broke down in tears. I was like, I spoke way too soon. Literally, like a few pages later, I like broke down crying because it's the way like Rose is very protective of his body. Like that part really broke my heart. And then also like at the end, how Mia like got Rose's mom and all that stuff. Yeah, that part also like make me cry. But then also I'm a Pisces and I cry so easily. Like I know I didn't cry when Mason dies. I don't want to say it. When Mason passed away, I was like, okay. But then like afterward, I'm like, yo, this is so sad. I'm crying right now. I'm not having a good time. But yeah, like that part really broke my heart.
I agree with Bruna's comment where like low-key love the death because it makes the series more high stakes and realistic. Like as much as it sucks that Mason had to die, I think it was like really important because it's going to be a major turning point for Rose's character, because we're just like shitting on how she's like, oh my gosh, she's such a high schooler, she's so like petty. But even like within the last few pages of this book, we saw her really mature when she's getting like her tattoos. Like I think I really like how like when they get the tattoos, people like don't say congratulations. They're like, all of the guardians were like, we knew that you were going to be like the first one in the ranks, even though it's such like a sad moment, like to mourn death. And even the whole thing of like mourning, like even though they're killing Strigoi, they're still like taking a life away from like the world. So I really like those like aspects.
Yeah. And also I do want to quickly talk about Isaiah and Elena, I believe, like the two Strigoi. I was honestly shocked to read the part where Rose kills both of them, because I didn't really remember. I just assumed that she was going to kill one of the Strigoi, but like she killed both Strigoi in a very brutal way, like decapitation. And I think people were like shocked because the sword that she used hasn't been sharpened in such a long time, and the fact that she was able to use it to kill those two Strigoi was like really shocking. And I was shocked too. Yeah, like I also understand why she did, like she was being, I guess, like hard like doing those killings. It's because like Mason just died and she's like doing whatever it takes to like, I guess, avenge his death. But yeah, I was really shocked when she killed both Strigoi, and of course she gets the mark as well, but like, you know, she's not happy about it. It's just like, oh, I killed two Strigoi. Doesn't mean much when Mason has passed away too.
Yeah, it was sad. I must say, I got so annoyed about how they even got into that situation in the first place. When they were at the mall, I finally convinced them to leave, and they were leaving, and then they're like, well, let's just have a look. Like, let's just have a look at the tunnels. And she's like, oh, okay, fine. I was just like, you've gotten this far. Why?
Yeah.
But obviously plot progression is needed. But I was annoyed.
Yeah. Honestly, I also don't remember this. How Mason knows about this whole Strigoi, the hideout, and all that stuff. Like, I know that it was Tasha who was like, we need to like hunt down the Strigoi and kill them first. But I think when she said that, I was like, oh, so this is where the inspiration comes from. However, it's the fact that Rose tells Mason this information after Dimitri tells her, hey, don't share this information with anyone. She literally said, I'm gonna tell Mason. I'm feeling petty. I was so mad. I was like I'm not. Here's the thing, real quick. I'm not blaming Rose for Mason's death at all. At all. No way. Mason passed away because of the Strigoi. I'm not blaming Rose at all. I'm gonna blame Rose for the fact that he knows the information though, because she tells him. I was like, so yeah. So it was
I also think that like makes Mason's death so much more sad, because obviously Rose, like, yeah, it's not her fault, but she blames herself because he wouldn't have done that in the first place if she didn't reveal that information.
Yeah. Yeah, this book was very frustrating at times. I was like, man, Rose, are you kidding me?
I love the little... Jamie, you can go first.
No, you go.
Okay, no, because I was going to change the topic. I was going to talk about Rose and Christian.
Okay, well, I was going to say that I kind of loved that she told him, because I just saw myself, one of my biggest flaws is like spreading gossip. I was kind of like, oh, we said something to someone that we shouldn't have said and like kept secret. So I was just kind of like, this is a very good, realistic teenage girl flaw, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Moving the topic a little bit, like I love the little snippets of like Rose and Christian like a duo, because they're so snarky and they balance each other so well in comparison to like Lissa. And the scene where like she's trying to escape from like the ski slopes, and so they have to use compulsion on a guardian. Christian's like, why are you using me? It's like, I don't want Lissa to get in trouble. That's why I'm like okay with letting you get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's nice that Rose is like good friends with Christian. I think after this, like the events that happened at the end of this book, I believe I think they're gonna be closer. And also, I think there's just something about like I guess having a good relationship with your best friend's boyfriend. that's why I really like Christian and Rose, because it's like, I mean, the one thing they have in common is that they really love Lissa, and also like I guess their personality is very like it's kind of the same, I guess. So yeah, I think that's really great. And then she talks, yeah. I guess we can definitely move our discussion to her mom, because her mom comes back in this book. So like that's
when her mom gives her a black eye.
Oh my god! What? I was just like, what? Yeah, I didn't love her mom, to be honest.
I get that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand why. What you call it? Rose is very petty towards her mom, and why she doesn't have the best relationship with her mom. I get all that. Like, I would feel some type of way too if my mom just leaves me and like I don't know, like just devote her time and effort to her job and not being a mom, I guess, like being there for Rose.
Definitely. Yeah, I kind of like, it's more just annoying for me that like what pissed me off is that she's not there anyway. And you know, whatever, she's busy, that's fine. But it's when she like comes back and she obviously hasn't seen Rose in like 4 or 5 years or something, and she immediately is like telling her off and going like, oh, like why are you flirting with all these boys, like blah blah blah. And it's just like, you don't even know your daughter, like, and you're immediately coming in with aggression. Like there's no wonder she's being like snarky back to you.
Yeah,
I don't know, didn't love her.
Me too. I want to find the. Oh my god, I'm so bad at finding pages. But it's basically the part where Rose is talking to Adrian, and then it's the end of the chapter, and then the beginning of the next chapter. Her mom like slut-shamed her.
Yeah. Where she's wearing like a dress that's like apparently very promiscuous, even though she's just talking to Adrian at like a party.
Yeah.
I was genuinely like upset because it's like whoa. This is gross, mostly because like Rose has been slut-shamed. Rose has been slut-shamed in the first book, and then in this book, like it was the first time she talks to Adrian. I'm getting the boy's name mixed up. She's talking to Adrian. Mia shows up, and Mia just slut-shamed her right in front of why are you being so gross? You know, like, I don't know, like slut-shaming is gross, but doing it right in front of that person too is just did not sit right with me. And then also on page 230, this is what her mom said, Rose's mom. She says, maybe it will stop you from dressing up like a cheap whore. When I read that, I got mad because it's like, why are you slut-shaming your own daughter?
I think she's like, it goes to show she's putting a lot of her own like insecurities of the past, because that's what it's like trying to get at, where she like had Rose really young because she was like really like swooned by a Moroi man, and she doesn't want Rose like to go through what she went through, so she's just like not parenting in the proper way, but like putting all of that on her.
Yeah. Oh, I like this comment. You could tell how much the relationship has been affected by the dynamics of Damper woman in general. Rose needed a mom, but she also looks down on Damper woman who loved her. Yeah, I definitely noticed that. It's just so complex, but also quite hypocritical. Like, there are certain things in this world that's just a little bit weird. Like, I think we talked about how like Moroi looks down on Damper. However, they need Damper to protect them. Certain things like that.
A whole conversation about like, oh, we should just let the Dampers like graduate early so they can become guardians for us because we're short on guardians. And then that's why like I love Tasha's perspective of like, oh, we need to get Moroi trained to fight, even though they're like what else are you gonna use magic for? Like, that's such a waste.
I didn't understand the whole system where they're like, it's forbidden to use magic. I'm just like, why? Like, I just didn't understand why. Like, that kind of that whole like construct and like plot point seemed pretty messy to me, because it's like it didn't really have a good explanation as to why they didn't use magic. It was just kind of like, it's forbidden, full stop. No explanation. Like, no, we need an explanation.
There's this one scene where like Lissa's talking to some older Moroi about like how we can be incorporating magic training into schools, and I feel like it was the most simple explanation, just make it like optional for who wants it. But then the way that Rose describes it was like, oh my god, Lissa's such a genius, coming up with like compromises that everyone will agree with. I was like, that feels like common sense. I don't know why we're hyping this up, but like, I get it.
Yeah, I think it's just like a lot of the Moroi, they're so like hell bent on their beliefs. So once they hear something that's like nice, I guess. I don't know. They're like, whoa, she's so like she's right. Oh my god. I'm like, dude, like it's not that. Anyway, but yeah, I want to talk about page 291. I think this is around the time when they're like stuck in the basement, and what's his name? Christian. Christian is trying to trying to free Rose, and she literally says we definitely should have been using this magic thing from the start. The Moroi anti-magic custom was so instilled in our brains that we hadn't even thought to try this sooner. It was stupid. And I really like the fact that she said that, because it's like, yeah, it's really flawed. Like you guys been stuck in this basement for like 2 days, and you could have broken out if you use magic. And like that's the thing, like she's free, Rose. Like she gets free because of Christian and the fact that he uses firepower.
I like Mia's character growth in this, even though it was because her mom had to die. It's for her to like become a better person.
Yeah. I really liked Mia in this book as well. I mean, apart from the slut-shaming. I mean, she's always been like that. But yeah, no, I really liked their development. Like I really like how at the end they're not exactly like friends, but they have a level of respect for each other.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, mostly because I think it's because like they've been through like that whole capture thing together, but then also they both have lost someone because of the Strigoi. And I also like the fact that like I believe there's like a meeting, and like Rose's mom is like being the leader, and then Rose did come up asking for the last name, and then I was like, why though? Like I didn't hit me until she's like, oh, this is Mia's family, and she feels bad for Mia. Like that, I was like, you know what, Rose? Like I'm glad that like you have sympathy.
Yeah. The fact that she even thought to ask in the first place just implies that she has a level of respect for Mia in the first place anyway. Because I think like Mia's character is really interesting, because while she's like pretty freaking annoying in the first book, I feel like Rose almost sees her as an equal, because she's the only one who has the same amount of bite that Rose does, and the only one that's like will challenge her.
Yeah. She's like the girl version of Christian in some ways.
Yeah. So I feel like Rose kind of like, while she's like, oh, hate Mia, she's so annoying, she looks 12, she's also just kind of like, but she's like got guts like inside. So yeah, I feel like she's always kind of had that level of like, we're on the same level with Mia.
Oh, I like this one. I think it's about the damper, because I get it. Like it just sucks how the damper women are being treated. Like I believe I remember the first book, I believe Rose made some snide comment about damper women, and how like it's like, oh my god, they choose to be a mom or whatever. And like Demetrius was like, my mom's like that, and then she just shut up immediately. I was like, yeah, it's best not to make this kind of comment. Like I know it's a common opinion and thought process for a lot of people, but it still doesn't mean that it's right. So I like how Demetri like educates her on that.
Definitely.
Yeah, this part like pissed me off. Like it was the whole meeting thing after the attack. It just sucks. It's like, dude, from the age of 18 to 16, like 16 is young. So
like I was stupid when I was 18 and when I was 16, but I was so much more stupid when I was 16.
Yeah. I feel like it's very common for like, I feel like if I were I know that when I was 16 years old, I thought that I'm like very mature, that I know what I'm doing, I know the things around me, I know how things work in the world. But like, look, I'm 23 now. Looking back, definitely not. Like, because when you're 16, it's just so easy to be like, I'm 16, like I know what I'm doing, but like in reality, you really don't. So yeah, it does suck how someone suggested that. Like I was like, that's so cruel. Like you're literally gonna send so many people to die because they're not prepared for like to fight the Strigoi. Yeah, Tiffany.
I agree with what Sandy said. Like at the very beginning, this book really feels like filler because it's just setting everything up for the later books. But we've opened so much now of like potential for spirit, like all these potential like political debates that they're going to discuss in the future. Also just like dealing with Strigoi, because this was like the first, well, this was the second book, but like the first instance where we get to actually see like evil Strigoi. Because with Natalie in the first book, it didn't feel that scary. Like it was kind of scary because she like turned into Strigoi, but it didn't feel like as high stakes as it was in this book.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I guess now we can definitely go into talk about Strigoi, because I feel like in this book we definitely see a lot of Strigoi, like a lot of attacks that have been like instigated because of the Strigoi and the humans. So I definitely view this book as like a great way to illustrate how dangerous the Strigoi is, because in this book Mason and his friend, like, they're so confident that they can definitely beat the Strigoi. Like the fact that they go out and they're like, we're gonna hunt them down, we're gonna beat them, like there's no problem. But it's like, but I like how Rose is like, no, this is a stupid plan, because
it's because Rose is the only one who's actually like seen a Strigoi.
Yeah.
In comparison to everyone else.
Yeah, and then also what they can do if they're successful in their killings. Like in the beginning of this book, I was horrified. Like Rose and I, we were horrified because I believe she has like a test. She goes to the place with Dimitri, and it's just like knowing that this legendary damper, I forgot his name. Basically, he has this status of being like legendary, like he's the best of the best, and he gets killed by the Strigoi. Like I get upset because the family who got taken out, there were a few who are children, and that really upset me because it's like it sucks a lot. But yeah, a lot of people at that place, I think it's called, is it the Batica or something like that? It's like a royal family, but basically almost everyone died for days. That's the thing. Like, and turns out like humans and Strigoi work together and all that stuff. It's like a very horrifying thing. That in the middle of this book, at like, it's like near the ski resort, another family has been killed. And of course, the Strigoi and the humans, they work together. And then we have like the battle at the end, like Isaiah and Elena and all that stuff. Like, it's so horrifying. Like each time we see the Strigoi, it's one of those things where it's like, they can kill you, and they have different methods to kill. And also like if they want to kill you, they can. But then also if they want to turn you into a Strigoi, they can also do that. So it's like very scary.
Did anyone else find it like a little bit questionable that they decided to bring everyone into one ski resort type of place? It's like, I don't know. I feel like it might have been just smarter to keep people like isolated and separated from each other, especially like we have that dangerous aspect of the Strigoids working with the humans. So like the humans can break down all the wards surrounding that ski resort. So I don't know. That's just like the first thing that popped in my head when I was like, oh, so you're just going to bring everyone to one place?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just buy their thought process. Like, yeah, let's just put everyone together. We can just protect everyone. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I also get it because like a lot of the people going there are also like part of royal family, so they definitely have a lot more Dampier like protecting those families. So I kind of see it, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know.
I also kind of see it like maybe the Strigoi, like they wouldn't know that they've moved. Like the Strigoi obviously know where their academy is and stuff. So maybe their thought process is like, okay, if we go somewhere brand new that like the Strigoi have no idea about, then they won't find us. Still not exactly a foolproof plan, but that could be a thought process maybe. I don't really remember why, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't remember the Strigoi to be that like logical in terms of like working together, like working with humans. For some reason, I remember them being a lot more like just like unhinged, where they're just like kill them right and then be done with it. Like the fact that they're working together in such large groups is like what obviously scares the Guardians, but like took me back a little bit.
Yeah, same. I was very surprised too. Like I think it was like towards the beginning of this book. I think it's either Dimitri or Rose. They're like, because like Rose finds a stake outside. And then when I learned that like Strigoi cannot hold a stake, who, like, what happened? Like, how is it here? Like, obviously the stake breaks the wards and that stuff. And I think it was Dimitri. He was like, oh my god, the humans are probably working with the Strigoi. Like I was like, whoa, that's horrible. Yeah. Basically, yeah. I was like, wait, I don't know. I was like, no, the humans cannot be working with a Strigoi, but then turns out that they are.
I'm curious for the people in like the live chat, if anyone's reading it for the first time, because the person who's like at is True Friends Are a Gift, like curious about spirit because it's still quite vague. Like,
Yeah.
I obviously like have an idea because I've read all the books, but it's like it's really cool. You're gonna see like the world expand and how they use the powers. I think what's really cool is that Adrian and Alyssa are both spirit users, but they have very different like ways of using spirit.
Yeah. Like I know for a fact that Lissa is so good with compulsion. Like I think towards the end, because like Christian was trying to use compulsion, but like it's not as strong. And also like with Mia too, like she tried to use it, but it's not as strong. However, with Lissa is so strong and it's effective. And Rose definitely noticed like the difference between like the compulsion that people use and who can actually do it better. And I think so for Lissa, like the healing people and certain things, sometimes bringing people back from the dead, compulsion. Am I missing something for Alyssa regarding compulsion, like her abilities?
I don't think
that's
so.
Yeah, compulsion and then like healing. For Adrian,
he can see auras, which is why he's always like, "Oh, Rose, you're surrounded in so much darkness," and he can also dream walk.
Yeah, so there's that, and then like both parties are like using different methods to, I guess, like numb their power, isn't it? Like shut it down a little bit.
Yeah, like Adrian self-medicates through like drinking and like cigarettes, and Alyssa was on like antidepressants. But it's interesting how like the antidepressants for Alyssa like cuts off access to spirit. Like she can't use the power, but then for Adrian, like he drinks, but he can still like use spirit.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they say that it's their first time reading the book. And then I've read the book before, but not this one. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah.
I was kind of funny. Love that scene. I love that scene so much, like both of them. And then Rose just went like, okay, I guess I'm just taking matters into my own hands. Just like,
yeah, she just knocks out the guard. And again, I was annoyed with Rose. So when she did that, I was like, "Are you serious? You knocked down the guards?" But I guess it's effective. And honestly, I know this. My mind, wow. But I think it's just like the fact that, in a way, even though Rose is like, she's, I guess, can be annoying. She's very responsible regarding Strigoi, because like she's coming to the mall to get the people back, being like, hey guys, like let's not do this, let's just go back, like Strigoi is awful. But I believe someone still tried to convince her to go to the tunnel and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's either Christian or Basin. One of them was like, let's still go. Yeah, let's still go. Like, let's go to the tunnel and stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah. A little more about spirit. Yeah, me too. I feel like as of right now, we get like the basic, and it's nice to see that we get two characters with the spirit power, like Lissa and then Adrian.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be exciting because Adrian will be going to St. Vladimir's with them.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. Everyone's smiling.
I've completely forgotten why he's going to St. Vladimir's anyway, but I'm still, regardless, very excited.
Yeah, I believe he's on a break from university or something like that. And he's there to work with Lissa.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to uncover more about spirit.
Yeah. And also, real quick, I like the fact that we learn certain things about like the elements. So in the beginning of this book, I believe Rose says that the 4 elements are used to forge a silver stake. I didn't know that, so I thought that was like really cool. And then also like the fact that the Strigoi cannot hold the stake. That's also very interesting, and they have the humans to do their dirty work regarding that. But yeah, it's like the little things, like how the world works, or this world, and the magic, and the the elements and stuff like that. I think that overall it's really cool. But yeah, with spirit, we don't know much information. We just know that Lissa and Adrian have them, and then also like what they can do. But at the same time, there's not much information. And then also Saint Vladimir, like he's a spirit user too.
Yeah.
I think
That's
Sonia
cool.
was too, right? Sonia Karp
Yeah.
in the first book.
Sonia, Carp too. Are we missing anyone else? I think that's about it. Like so right now we have 4 spirit users. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, I went through everything.
I think the romance will also be a bigger part in the third book because like
Oh,
the
yeah.
end of the second book is with Dimitri like accepting Rose's advances, which will be pretty interesting.
Yeah, considering she's still at bloody school. Very interesting to watch.
Yeah, like when he kissed her, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be like that person, being like, I'm so against this relationship, but I'm low key like, anytime Dimitri is like, I don't know, like even at the end when he kisses her, I was like, God, why? Why? Yeah, so
I loved them so much when I was a teenager. Like I loved Dimitri and Rose, and I loved their relationship. But now that I'm older and can like actually see it for what it is, I was like, oh,
yeah,
maybe not. But I still love them as characters individually.
Exactly, I definitely agree.
Age them down in my head when I read it now. But honestly, even back in high school, I think I preferred Christian because I loved Christian and Lissa so much.
Yeah, me too.
Of like the outcast who like, you know, everyone thinks is a weirdo, and then he like bags like
Like an angel essentially.
Like yeah, and then yeah, I love their dynamic. So I love I love him so much. I think I prefer Adrian and Kristen over Dimitri.
Wow, because I remember, I think it was last month, you and Tiffany get into an argument about, because I think you were like, oh, team Dimitri, and then Tiffany was like team Adrian. Was that right? Was it?
Maybe, but I think I would have tweeted about Dimitri, and then, but in my head, I'm like, Tiffany's right though. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just like, I do like Dimitri, but I prefer characters that are a lot less serious. Like Dimitri doesn't really joke. He's not really like, he's just very like, I love you. It's like,
brooding.
Yeah. Whereas like Adrian's all like, hey, I'm a party boy, and then Christian's like snarky, and I just prefer those guys over the like really serious brooding.
You are going to love Bloodlines. It's just like all Adrian, and he's just so wonderful.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. Oh, now I'm very excited for the Bloodline series. But yeah, I definitely agree with like your love for Christian, because when I first read the series, I was like so invested in Lissa and Christian, and I hate the fact that they're like the side couple though, because I'm like, no, like put them in the forefront. I want more content. So like even with the first book, I'm still like invested with Lissa and Christian. My mom is so loud, but still, I'm just like, hey, I want more content. I want more content between Lissa and Christian. So I really hope that we're gonna get that.
Yeah, I feel like they really underused the like spirit bond in Frostbite, because that's what I really, really loved about the first book, is that like you get to see basically 2 different perspectives without having to do like a like perspective jump. Like you got to, like they were basically both like pretty equal, their stories. So I was annoyed that we didn't get as much of that.
The only time they like had the spirit bond in this book, I think, was when like Rose was accidentally like watching Lissa and Christian get it on.
Yeah. Oh, and then there was the part where she like slipped into Lissa's head when they were in the basement. So, but even that moment was literally just like, we didn't even, it was maybe like a couple of pages. Like we didn't really get to see how Lissa really felt. It was just kind of like something that would aid like Rose's story.
Yeah. Oh my god, I see it. Yeah.
I feel like part of this because Christian kind of gives me like Zuko vibes with the whole fire power, and I'm just like, oh, I love him.
Basically. Yeah. And then also, I recently rewatched Sky High on Disney Plus, and there's a character named Warner Peace, and he's like brooding, dark, also has fire power. I think we all have a type. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's my type, definitely. But yeah, I was thinking of that too. Like, hey, Christian kind of reminds me of Zuko, being like sarcastic and having like fire elements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh my god, love that.
So I think that's why I prefer Christian now. This says it all. This right here, comment says it all.
Yeah. Oh my god, love that.
Yeah, I miss Avatar.
For the people who haven't read the future books, like, do you guys have any predictions of what's going to happen in book 3? But like, we've all reread, so I'm like more so asking the live chat.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't remember what's gonna happen in the third book.
I can't remember what happens in the third book. Like, I think I remember the ending, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just remember the ending.
Yeah, that leads into, I think, the other book that I remember the most.
Yeah.
So I definitely remember the ending, but I don't remember anything else that happens.
Mm-hmm. Me too. So yeah, I feel like I kind of remember the beginning. I remember the ending, but like the middle, I'm like, what happened? Like, what will happen? I haven't even read the synopsis in the back, so I'll probably do that after this live show, because like I would love to know what's gonna happen in the third book. You know, like I don't know. In a way, I know that I'm rereading this book, but I'm in a way going to the third book as like a first time reader. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think the only books that I really remembered the most are like the first book, the second book, and the fourth book. The other ones I'm very like, I don't know. No idea.
Yeah, what's funny was that I think a few months ago, when I was filming the announcement for the read-along, out of nowhere, I get like, I don't know, flashes of stuff that will happen in the fifth book. I was like, out of nowhere, I just remember a thing that happened in the fifth book, and I was like, oh my god, where did this come from? Yeah, because I was actually struggling to like give a synopsis in the announcement video, and I was so embarrassed because I've read the series before, but I'm just like, this is about vampire academy, the main character's Rose, and other than that, I'm like, I don't remember what happened.
Yeah. Oh, I love
As
it.
I read the books, I'm always so sad that like this series never got. It was like a pretty hyped up series. It was like very popular, but it was never like the fandom size of like Shadowhunters or like Hunger Games of the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, also Richelle Mead is not very like active on social media in comparison to other authors. So I was just like, I feel so alone and like no one to talk to about this.
It was also the sort of book I found that I was reading in high school, but because I was like, I wanted to be cool. When my friends would come over, I would like hide it because the covers were just, you know,
the covers are so ugly.
So I'd like hide my books and be like, no, I don't read those. What are you talking about? It's tragic. But then like I would go to other people's houses, and the last person I would expect would have Vampire Academy sitting on this bedside table.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that kind of I feel like everyone really liked. But no one really talked about it, like at least not to the same extent of like the Hunger Games or something like that, which was like cool to like.
I feel like because people were just like, this came out the time where like people were still really gung-ho about Twilight. So then because Twilight had that like negative connotation with it, like if you talk about like Vampire Academy, people are like, what the heck? What is that?
Yeah, like vampires. I was actually real quick. I was gonna ask, what's your like? Cause okay, so this is the cover for Frostbite. However, they did get a cover change, so it's kind of like this, but it's like kind of blurred out, and then VA or something.
Those are so ugly. They're so ugly.
Single Vampire Academy cover or Bloodlines cover that I've been like, yes, nice cover.
Yeah.
I was the only good thing is that the Bloodline series have like really pretty spines.
Yeah.
But everything else just ugly.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the spine. It's so pretty, but I will say I think I prefer the original covers and stuff like that. However, there's so many different covers. Like Tiffany and I, we have the same book. Just it's a little bit
different. This is like
the
OG cover, like the very first one, and then that's like a remake.
I had the same cover as Trinh.
Okay. What about you, Sandy?
Yeah, I have the same cover too.
Okay, yeah. So, well, I didn't know that. So Tiffany's is like the OG. This is the remake, and then the one with the VA is like another
a remake
change.
again. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. But also, like, I do want to say, because I really prefer hardcovers. So I think it was a few months ago, I was like on a mission to find the hardcovers for the first 3 books, and for Frostbite, I cannot find a hardcover. Like, it was actually really, really hard to find like the hardcover of Frostbite. For Shadow Kiss, I think I found one, but like at the same time, I'm not gonna get the hardcover for the first and third book and then have the second book in paperback. Like my mind cannot handle that. So
someone said the covers make it look like erotica, and I was like,
yes. You know what? When I was like 15 and reading these, it was erotica. Like that was the most book I had ever read.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh my goodness, so many comments. Okay, so about the prediction thing.
We're not gonna say anything. Don't say anything.
Yeah, okay. I can't remember. Let me see. Public in college, I don't remember talking about it.
I feel like it was a series that like no one really like. I didn't know anyone who read it, but like the second that like someone, even if we're not very good friends, they're like, I love Vampire Academy. I'm like, yes, yes, like we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
One of my non-reader friends was in my live show like a few days ago, and I started talking about Vampire Academy, and she's like, oh my god, I used to love Vampire Academy in high school. And I was like, you don't know how to read. What are you talking about? And then, yeah, I think it's just one of those books that was like kind of like a universal, like people read it. Like even my younger sister who like hasn't read a book in like 10 years, I think, read Vampire Academy because like our mum bought them for us. I think it was like a universal like book that people read, but just it didn't have a big enough fandom.
Yeah. I feel like the fandom for Vampire Academy is so low key, but then once someone mentions it, they come out. Like that's how I imagine it. Yeah,
I also think the lack of a good filmic adaptation really hindered it as well. Because with the City of Bones movie, like I don't think the City of Bones movie is amazing, but people love it, and like people went to the cinema and saw it without reading the books and loved it. Whereas that didn't happen with Vampire Academy. No one saw that movie and was like, that was the best movie I've ever seen. I'm going to go read the books.
It's because like they try to make it so edgy.
I know, and like the person I cast for Rose was so wrong.
Yeah,
like I love Zoe. I love Zoe Dosh, but she was not a good Rose in my opinion.
I've seen her in other movies, and I really love her, but she's just not who I picture when I see Rose. Also, I'm pretty sure there's like isn't in the first book. I remember this in the first book. She says that she's like part Turkish or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think her dad's from Turkey.
Yeah. Don't see that for Zoe.
And like I love Zoe, but she's like the way that Rose is described is like very voluptuous, like very like has a figure, very like sultry kind of like mysterious in that way. And then Zoe just isn't, even though I love her and like Set It Up and like Sweet Life on Deck and whatever. But it just was not what I was.
Yeah.
I think Zoe did like a good job in portraying like the sassy and like sarcastic side of Rose though.
Yeah, definitely. I think she did. I just think in terms of like aesthetic, like a blonde wig on Zoe, she could be lesser.
Yeah. And then also, Leah just said Rose was supposed to be more curvy and more tan. I remember
because she's Turkish.
Yeah. And then also there's like a huge, I think in the first book, she definitely goes in depth how like her appearance is very different from like Lissa and the other Moroi, because Moroi are a little bit like they're skinny,
model.
And then like that blonde. Not all of them have blonde hair, but still like very like pretty and stuff. With Rose is, but then also like Rose, I guess, is being viewed as like a challenge for a lot of Moroi boys. Like, oh, she's a damper, and then she's different and all that stuff. So like obviously she's set apart from the other Moroi girls.
Yeah.
Also, Mia was like, she had the doll-like features, but I just did not remember her having a pixie cut. Like, it just did not click in my mind.
Oh my god, I forgot about the pixie cut. I was imagining like ringlets, like blonde ringlets and like pigtails, and like that's what I was imagining.
Yeah. I think that's about it. I like how we just talk about the covers at the end, but yeah, it's just like I was on a mission to find the hardcovers, but I couldn't, so I got like these covers instead. So yeah, it's nice. Sorry, my brain is like shutting down right now, so it means I have to like stop the live show. But that's about it for today's live show. Thank you so much, Jamie, for joining us and talking about
Thank you for
Frostbite.
having me. Honestly, when I read the first book, like in January, I was like, all right, I'm hijacking this read along.
You are so welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like, please come back for the Bloodline series, because like Tiffany did say, like, I think you would enjoy it, because like,
yeah, I would absolutely love to. I'm definitely going to be reading the rest of the series along with you guys, because it's just like it's so easy to pick them up and read them like halfway through the month. So yeah, definitely.
They're such easy reads, and they go by so fast too. And I don't know, they just like I'm like extending things, but like it holds up so well.
I know, and like after this live show, I literally want to start reading Shadow Kiss like now.
Yeah, honestly, I think I might have to read Shadow Kiss a little bit early, because Shadow Kiss, I think, is like 400 pages. I think starting now with each book, it gets a little bit longer. I think for the last book, the
last 3 books are fat.
I know, it's like
thick.
So I'm like, I cannot just start this book like in the middle of the month. I think I might have to start the books in like the beginning of the month, because I'm so scared of like coming into the live show and not finishing the book. Like, that's my biggest fear.
I'm guilty of doing that before. It's scary. Or like I finish it like 10 minutes before we go live.
Wait, Tiffany, can we tell?
I finished this yesterday. I read this last night, but I reread the series literally last March, like during quarantine, when quarantine started. So I was like, this is a perfect series to marathon. So I remember all the details so vividly. So like I zoomed through this like in a couple hours.
Okay. I wanna. She texted the group chat. So Tiffany and I, our time zone is completely different. So it's like 3 hours apart. I'm 3 hours ahead of her. So it was like around 11:30. I got a text from the group chat in the group chat, and her being like, reading the book right now. And I was like, what page are you on? And she was like, page 24. I was like, page 24. But then I'm like, well, Tiffany, it's 8:30 p.m. for her. It was 11:30 for me, but still it's 8:30 for her. I was like, okay, so she has time in a way. So I just assumed that she's gonna pull an all-nighter. I was like, oh, don't do that. 2 hours later, she texted the group chat, I'm done.
Okay, but this was like, I literally remembered everything. So I was just literally like, okay, yeah, this happened. I remember this happening. I remember this happening. So it's super fast. Like I can't do this with all the other books because like this is like the original version. So I reread this one like many, many times. But in comparison to like Shadow Kiss, it's gonna take me like a couple days.
Okay, that's fair. But I was like,
I was like 2 hours. What? Like, did I miss something? Like I literally,
these are books that like once you get into them, you're just like really into them.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to read the rest of the series, because I like each book will get a little bit longer. But for the Bloodline series, I think all of them are like around the same length, based on the spine. It's like roughly 300 pages or 400 pages. I don't know.
Stunning.
Okay, so everyone. Start Shadow Kiss tomorrow. Ooh, I should do it tomorrow, but we'll see. I'm pretty busy. But obviously, we're all going to read Shadow Kiss in March and get ready for the live show. So the announcement for the live show, like the date and time, will be announced either tomorrow or Tuesday. So look out for that.
Just check our Twitter.
Yeah. So that's about it. Thank you so much for everyone coming to the live show. We had a lot of fun with everyone. Thank you, Jamie, again. So goodbye. Have a great weekend. It's Sunday here, but it's Monday for Jamie. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Love that.
But everyone have a great weekend. Thank you again. Goodbye.